So during the MyRIS times, it was like everyone was buying guns for good reason, right? Because that's how you know how people really feel about the Second Amendment is it's okay to poo-poo it when things are going good, but when you're scared,
Yeah.
that's why we need it.
When
So,
they're forming a gauntlet around your condominium in downtown Houston.
so glad I don't live in downtown Houston anymore.
We are the Armed Attorneys. Today we're talking about one of the most frequently asked questions we get. Should I renew my license or permit to carry? Now, there's a lot of considerations that go into this. We have a ton of states. The majority of states now are permitless or constitutional carry states. Maybe don't even need a license anymore. But what are we telling our clients? Should you renew? But before we begin, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting that like button. And, all right, lots of pros, not a whole lot of cons. I mean, obvious cons are this costs money, takes some time. But what is, I know you get asked this question a lot. What is kind of the first consideration? And there's a few of them that you talk to your clients about when they're deciding whether or not to renew.
Well, there are quite a few. And I will preface this by saying I am not unbiased here because I love my license to carry. Although I will say it expired on my birthday this year and I renewed it a month before my birthday and it has yet to be delivered to my home. And I'm suspicious that it's that guy in the licensing division that I pissed off in at the legislature that year.
Yeah, you just threatened to fine him personally.
If you're watching, I'm very sorry for what I said when I was angry about the DPS. And I would like my license to carry if you could go ahead and send that to my house. Thank you.
Yeah, but sidebar, you were complaining about the time, the renewal turnaround time, and the time to process applications. And after threatening the DPS, it seems like they sped up.
They did. Well, it turns out all you have to do is tell the legislature that they should be sanctioning the government for screwing around with people's licenses. And then, though they do drag you out in the hallway and treat you like, some mafiosos.
You're only surrounded by 6 guys with guns.
I know. It was like, I'm sorry for what I said when I was trying to get you sanctioned by the legislature. So anyway, but yeah, so I'm not unbiased. I believe very strongly in your license to carry. And this is my bang up reason, and it is the one that I tell literally everyone is, and this is, Rich will talk to you more about like, this reason, sort of more less squishy emotional reasons. This is my squishy emotional reason, is that if you have to use your gun in self-defense and you are prosecuted for that, you will want to have had that license. And there's a rumor going around on the rumor mill gun boards that if you have a license, you're going to be held to a higher standard in court, that they're going to use that against you. They're going to say you were trained on de-escalation and this and that. And might they? Sure. I actually had some guy's licensing instructor subpoenaed for trial in his murder case. The state interviewed the guy and then decided that they were like, oh, well, this sucks for us. We're not going to put him up on the stand because he's going to say, and I actually talked to the guy too, because the state didn't know that we were friends. So he's calling me. He's like, is this your client? Because I'm getting the, and I was like, oh my gosh. But, he was like, look, what I'm going to tell him is that I teach a 4-hour course. I think it is very important that people come to this 4-hour course. People listen, they take their tests, but they have to do their own work. It's great that they did this, but the 10 minutes I teach on de-escalation isn't enough to make you more responsible than any other human out there. It's up to you. So anyway, it didn't work out for them, but that's the worst thing they can do. It's the worst thing they can do. And the positive side is that a jury looks at it and says, oh, he took the extra step. He went, he got licensed, he paid the money, he got his background. He's not afraid of anything in his background. He can at least put some rounds downrange, and he knows where to find the law to educate himself going forward. It is so powerful to your jury. So all those message boards out there that say, oh, your license to carry is going to hurt you in the courtroom, I will tell you from actually trying those cases, it is the exact opposite. You want that license.
Yeah, and I'll say, jury, it's like magic words.
It is.
We don't know necessarily what it is, but I will say generally in a trial, you can't get into somebody's criminal history or their criminal background. The trial is limited in scope to, did this incident occur or did this not occur? So that kind of extra background information, juries don't have a lot of data points to work on, but, the fact that somebody held a license to carry, I mean, there's a lot of people know, hey, guess what? You're going to have to go through some background checking on this. Extremely beneficial. The same kind of principle applies to side of the road. hey, you provide your driver's license, license to carry, or permit at the same time. The cop, instant background check, they kind of know, all right, I'm dealing with not a habitual criminal, not somebody with a murder warrant out for their arrest. So I'll say there. But apart from that, there are some very concrete benefits to having a license or permit to carry that I think, and I encourage all my clients to keep and renew their licenses. One, hey, guess what? You probably get to carry into more locations.
Oh yeah, big time. No, and that's not, I mean, that definitely applies in Texas, but that's not just Texas. I mean, all of these constitutional carry states, well, not all, the majority, there is some sort of differentiation between the rights of a license holder and the rights of a constitutional carrier. The rights of a license holder are always going to be more expansive. I can think of maybe 1 or 2 states where they just kind of blew it out of the water and said, everybody's samesies, but generally speaking, the license is going to give you a little bit more.
The other thing that we see show up time and again is extra defenses. Now, these aren't just, we're not talking about, hey, more rights to defend yourself, like use force or deadly force in self-defense. What we mean is the law builds in these mechanisms where, hey, guess what? Maybe the license holder gets, or the permit holder gets the benefit of the doubt, or maybe think about trespass signs. This is a big one in Texas. Texas, we have some really specific statutory hoops a private individual has to jump through in order to put license holders on notice that they're trespassing. Maybe we give these people extra defenses if they don't jump through those hoops. Another crazy one I just think is fun is Texas. We had this happen because a state representative got in trouble at an airport, forgot his handgun in his carry-on bag. If you're a license holder and you are in a rush, you forget your handgun in your carry-on bag, this is in Texas, if you have your license, they have to let you go to your car, place your vehicle in your car, lock it up, return to the checkpoint, and you can't be arrested. Now, you still get hit with a giant TSA fine, but that saves you from a serious felony arrest. Whereas,
sorry, my favorite laws are the ones where like
a lawmaker gets
in trouble, and then you're like, oh, like,
well, that happened. Think about like Defense Against Animals is protecting.
Oh yeah,
that's Rick Perry.
Bush. Oh, you're right. It was Rick Perry.
Yeah, his dog got attacked, and we didn't have self-defense against. This is just how these things happen.
Yeah. I always wonder because in Texas, the lawmakers cannot be arrested during the legislative session, and I always
for breach of the peace.
Except for breach of the peace. I always wonder, like, who did that? Who's worried about that?
Well, they were worried about somebody traveling from like West Texas getting jammed up by, I don't know,
DWIs, because that's how it's enforced now.
Yeah, right now
like, I'm passing laws and I'm drunk, and then they don't,
Yeah. But all right, going back to the airport example. So like the constitutional carriers or the non-license holders here in Texas, if they do the same thing, they get arrested, they get charged with a serious felony, and they get hit with the TSA fine. So you see all of these kind of defenses built in, and these are spread out. I mean, survey your state's laws to get a better understanding of this. But I'll say the other humongous benefit, and this applies to about half of the states, is your license or permit acting as a substitute to the NICS check. And why is that so important?
Because the FBI is held together with chewing gum and toothpicks. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, the NICS is, despite the fact, why is it that when the government pours a lot of money into something, it falls apart immediately?
Yeah, the bureaucracy.
Is it because they want more money?
Yeah, so
I don't know what it is.
We're talking about the National Instant Criminal Check System. This is the background check system when a federal firearms licensed dealer is transferring a firearm.
And when was Fix the NICS? When was Fix the NICS?
That was in a bill, or that was in a budget. Yeah,
it was years ago. Anyway, so the government was like, oh, the NICS check system, it needs some rehabilitation. It sucks. Let's pour all this money into it. And then what happened is that it's worse now. It's worse. And so, yes, you fill out your 4473. They send your information to the FBI for your NICS check. It's supposed to tell them whether or not you are qualified or disqualified. And you will remember. And I will say most of the time, no. Some of the time it works as intended. You get a quick deny, you get a quick proceed, you get a delay for a period of 3 days, and then the gun store can sell you your firearm even if it never comes back proceed, although many of them choose not to at this point. But so during the MIRIS times, it was like everyone was buying guns for good reason, right? Because that's how you know how people really feel about the Second Amendment is it's okay to poo-poo it when things are going good, but when you're scared, that's why we need it.
When they're forming a gauntlet around your condominium in downtown Houston.
So glad I don't live in downtown Houston anymore. So anyway, so everyone was rushing in to buy firearms, and the system just shut down. It shut down. It was taking months to get results.
The only folks who were getting guns from federal firearms licensed dealers for a period of time were those folks who had that license or permit that, was a suitable substitute to the background check.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is potentially very important. Now, what do you say to people who are like, I don't want to be on another list? Because that's the biggest complaint I hear about the license.
And so, we talked about those are some good pros, cons. Hey, money, time. I don't want to be on a list. Well, you look at states like California that have behaved very badly, and we accidentally leaked our list of license holders. Now you know who all your neighbors are who have guns. That stuff really pisses me off.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say Texas does a pretty good job because the only information you can get out of the DPS is how many license holders are in a county, which is...
And how many are getting arrested for crimes.
Correct. Yeah, how many are getting... But there's no, hey, look, here's this guy's home address. He's got guns, so be ashamed if something happened to him.
Right.
It's really, really terrible. So the not being on a list, I mean, that's a valid consideration.
It is, but to that I say, if you are a gun person, and if you are watching this channel, you're already on all the lists. You're already on all the lists. Honestly, I wouldn't worry. If you have a driver's license, you're on a list. If you bought one from an FFL dealer, you're on a list. I mean, but I am on, Lord knows how many lists I am on at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm ready for a tinfoil hat probably, but it is, I can't even imagine.
Well, I'm of the opinion that we should make the list irrelevant, make everybody a gun owner, get everybody a license. Then it's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get all of us? No, that's not gonna happen. Although I did see some numbers the other day. It was like the United States citizens have it was almost 50% of all of the privately owned firearms in the world are in the United States.
I believe
that sounds like a humongous number, but those are rookie numbers. We got to boost that up.
Yeah.
But we see, all right, long list of pros, list of cons, right? Money, time, maybe some list making there. Ultimate opinion, Emily Taylor, what do you tell your clients about whether they should renew?
Oh, yeah, no, my opinion is not a secret. You should absolutely renew. If you don't have one, go get one. Some people out there are like, I really want one from my state, but I have this weird thing in my past and I can't get one in my state. Cool. Go investigate what other states will let you have one, because although that would not function for, let's say, the NICS bypass, it's still good. There's still lots of good reasons to have them. For example, there are people who are not eligible for a Texas license who are eligible for a Florida non-resident license.
Yeah.
I just think that's how passionately I feel about it. I think even if you can't get one in your home state, see if you're eligible for another one. It's just a good thing to have.
Yeah, throw that on the pile. It was so obvious you didn't mention it earlier, but reciprocity.
Reciprocity, yes. That's phenomenal, because although that really is less relevant today than it was when we started practicing in gun law.
Yeah.
Because now we have, 28 constitutional carry states?
Right, and all the places that you don't recognize, you would have to have a license from their state. I mean, they're not going to go constitutional carry anytime soon. So, yeah, it's become less relevant.
Yeah, but I think it's still good. It's still good.
I tell all my folks, get your license to carry, keep your license to carry. And it, helps supports your mom and pop gun shops. This is an important aspect of a lot of this small business, and you want to keep the firearms community active for the next generation. But we hope you enjoy this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And let us know in the comments, do you want to have or keep your license, or would you rather just go constitutional carry? Until next time, we're the Arms Attorneys.